Hi. It's Mondays with Susan, and I wanted us to be in a little bit more of a comfy setting. So, you guys get yourself someplace quiet and alone. Let's have a talk and a discussion over um, things that I found that most people were unwilling to talk about. They were uncomfortable to talk about, and it left so many of us girls just trying to figure out things on our own. And there's no sense in us reinventing the wheel and us constantly going through this. It's just way too much suffering that is happening, letting everybody figure it out for themselves. I wanted to just ask a question. If you've ever been in a relationship that you constantly felt put down, devalued, like you were always the one making the mistakes, you're the one that was causing it was all your fault, although you were just trying to make peace, just trying to do some peace, and you found yourself having very conflicting feelings of, this doesn't sound right, this doesn't feel right, but I must be over exaggerating. Can't be that, because he's a nice guy. I'm here to tell you, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. This is Susan with Susan Riley Online. I am a certified life coach, and I'm glad that you're here joining me with Mondays with Susan. And I want to talk about that. What do you do when you really are come to realize that you are in an emotionally abusive relationship? You are constantly put down, corrected, snapped at, sneered at. And do you find yourself that when you're expecting your partner to come home, that you've got this 30-minute of panic of, okay, what can I look around, how make sure everything's picked up, something's gonna be done, so that, because you never knew, you're always walking on eggshells when they walked in the house, because you didn't know what they were going to be unhappy about and what they were going to blow up over. And and you tried everything that they said they were unhappy about, that this is a problem, you would fix, and you would make sure that that didn't happen anymore. But then they would find something else to be so angry with, and yelling and screaming. And I hope you guys haven't had ones that started throwing things, or like I did, busting holes in all the walls and doors. But and God forbid, I hope you didn't ever have one that started to hit you. I walked a thin line with that. And I wanted to let you guys know it's not your fault. Because I'm sure at some point you did kind of go, I do not need to be treated like this. This is just so wrong. It doesn't matter what I do. It really won't make any difference. They're still going to be mad, and they're still going to be upset. And you may have tried at different times just to try and help give them some understanding that you meant business, and actually maybe went for a weekend, went and left for a day or two to your mom's or girlfriends, and you left for a little bit so they could get the idea that you really meant business. And you were hoping that that breather would work. And what else? Has anybody tried that? Did you try that? That leave for a little bit, and then to let them know, I just don't want to be treated this way. And Tell me what your experience has been. Let me know how well that worked for you. Myself, it gave them just enough. They would go, okay, I am sorry. I don't want to do that. And they would apologize and come back. But it didn't last very long. It didn't last very long. And you try to not be the one that as soon as you come back, you start, every little thing they do, every little infraction, you start being the police on it. You go, okay, we can't do that because that's not a good relationship either. So you try to give them some leeway with it, but it so quickly turns back into the other. I found that if I did create more space for them to say, I don't want to be treated this way, two things kept coming up. Two things. This is what maybe you guys experienced this, or if you're still in these situations, you might be experiencing this to come up. Is one, the first thing they would go about, it became part of the attack on me, is that what? If you don't like what I'm doing, what, are you running again? You're just always bailing out. See, it's always you. It's always you. Which demoralized you and made it hard for you to leave. When the second part to that is when I finally had gotten to where I knew I needed to leave, and I was definitely leaving because I can't stay in this abuse anymore. Give yourself a month or two. It feels really great to finally be out from under all of that and to discover who you are and what it is that makes you smile, what makes you laugh. Because you know what? It's been a long time since you've laughed. You don't laugh anymore when you have that constant berating like that. You just don't. You numb yourself out so bad. It's the only way you can deal with the constant attacks. But interestingly enough, I did separate for a year, and I had a lot of discovery, grief, anger, but then I came back around again to a pull. I guess it's the best way for me to describe it. There's this pull that goes on the inside that I need to go back. And for any of you who have ever been in abusive relationships and have had the courage to leave, you've experienced this. And there's just a strong pull to go back. You're intelligent. You're smart. You know they're bad for you. You know that they say they'll change, but they don't ever change. But it's a strong pull. And I'm here to tell you that if you have ever gone back, not to feel guilty about that. It is not your fault. It's not your fault. Because it took me going and hiring some mentors and some coaches, and to start seeking to learn to better me, to find out more about me, that in that discovery, I found out something that was extremely, extremely liberating. And I want to share that with you today, is that everything that we experience is a chemical reaction. Your body breaks it down into a chemical exchange. Every breath you breathe in, everything you drink, everything you eat, and everything you think, your body breaks it into, it translates into a chemical exchange. So, if you have, this is something you may not have been aware, but your thoughts actually create a chemical mix, a certain mix, according to what your thoughts are, is to what the chemical mix will be in your body. And it floods all of your cells. And just like any other chemistry that can happen in your body, you can get used to it. How many of you just have gotten to where you've started drinking coffee and now your body just really doesn't function well without it? You have gotten used to that chemical change and that flooding that happens through your body, and you have become dependent on that. I'm telling you, your thoughts, your feelings do the same thing. They transmit a chemical mix. And if you have been put down, intimidated, manipulated, and scared for a period of time, you have gotten to where that's what is used to being in your system, flowing through your bloodstream, and that feels normal. So when you get outside of a situation, you finally leave and get somewhere safe where you're not being berated and you're not being belittled and you're not being devalued anymore. It's so liberating at first. It is incredible high. It's wonderful. But then you're going to bump up and against that. It is an addiction, just as if it was caffeine or Coke or heroin. It is a physical addiction that your body, chemistry that your body is used to feeling. And that is why if you ever did leave one abusive relationship and you got away because you knew he was so bad, and then after a while you got into another relationship who just turned out to be another version of the same thing and maybe even escalate a little bit, because subconsciously, without you really being aware of it, you were looking for somebody to give you that fix. You are an addict. You're looking for somebody subconsciously that will create the same chemistry going on through your system. That chemistry is abuse. So you're going to subconsciously keep picking another abuser. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Now, I'm here to tell you, first of all, that's the chemistry, that's the science behind all this. And then 2, you can change it. You have the power and the ability to get to choose what it is you want to be addicted to. So you can choose whether or not you're going to be addicted to sodas or coffee or alcohol or drugs. You do get to choose. But once you get addicted, it's a fight to get out of it. You also get to choose what feelings, what thoughts do you want to be addicted to? What ones do you want to be your go-to, your one that comes up every time? Do you want the fear and the depression and the anxiety and the worthlessness and then the hopelessness that comes from being in those abusive things? Or do you want to try a different emotion? Do you want to try one of the others? There's other emotions out there. There is happiness. There is joy. There is peace. There is contentment. There is safety. What emotion do you want to be addicted to? You're going to have to choose. But I'm telling you, you get to choose. This is something that is totally up to you, and you have the power to do it. Now, 2 things that go along with this is you are not going to just make a decision to say, I choose to live happy. I choose to live in joy. I choose to live in peace. And it all be done. Because you are an addict. Your body, every cell in your body is used to the other and craving the other. So you're not going to change from one to the other without 1, a lot of reinforcement and a lot of repetition, and 2, we're going to have to go through some withdrawals. You're going to have to, you go through physical withdrawals inside your body, just as if the DTs, just as if you were getting off alcohol. You do it with your emotional things also. But every episode that you sit there and choose, I'm going to choose to live life. I'm going to choose to do something. I am working on something different. You can. And after 5 years now of being out, and 5 years of making the choice, and seeing the different waves of that withdrawal, it was really strong at the beginning, really super strong at the beginning. I never had other things that I was addicted to have any kind of withdrawal symptoms, but I was physically shaken as I went through this withdrawal process of my emotions, and chose what to replace it with. And I started doing exercises to help do that repetition as to what's going to be my go-to emotion. And I surrounded myself with people that believed in me and that could continue to believe the same way, so that I can have that as a model and encouragement and see it. And then I needed mentors. I continued to work with mentors, and I needed that help to get through this. And I'm so glad I did. I am so glad I did. It was not my fault. I was stuck, and I was going to continuously stay in that pattern, no matter how times I could look back and see from high school onto both marriages, how I just got a different version of the same thing. Same thing. Each one was starting to escalate. Eventually, I would have had the opportunity of being somebody that was physically abused. But not anymore. Not anymore. I now know who I am, and I have changed what my emotional feeling that I'm addicted to is now joy. I am now addicted to joy. So, if this resonates with you, or if you know somebody who's just constantly always seems to keep repeating these same bad relationships, it's the same type, it's just a different look to it, but it's the same stuff, and they keep going around and around, and they're needing some help. I have a Facebook group called Addicted to Joy. Go in, request to join the group, and we'll find that'll be a safe place for us to sit and talk through these things. And I'm going to encourage you that you need to consider hiring coaches, hiring mentors, because these things are deep, and they're in your subconscious, and they're things you can't see. You have a lot of blind spots in this, and so you need somebody that can be able to see clearly and be able to help you pull your mind back to what it is you're working on. But I am so grateful that I am not the same person anymore. I am so grateful that I didn't stay a lifetime living so humiliated and demoralized. So, all of my sisters out there, and I know there may be some men too, out there too that have had demoralizing relationships too, but I can identify and speak more to the women. So I thank you for watching, and I wanted to just give you guys a chance to know, one, there is a difference, and there is a way out, and that you are the one that holds the key and the power to this, and that secondly, you're going to need support to get through it, and I'm here to help. Okay, so thank you for joining me this week on Mondays with Susan, and I'll be looking for you guys in the Addicted to Joy group on Facebook, and where we can talk about this. And if you have any questions, you can always answer. That's a safe place for them to be asked. I love you, and you too can be addicted to joy. Okay? Bye now.